Welcome to the game, welcome to the show. Home of the Hall of Fame where the legends go. Canton Classics all in for victory. This is our time now, we're making history. Gridiron Giants with champion DNA. From the top down, striving for greatness every day. No days off, just hard work that pays off. Leave it all on the field, even if we're carried off. This is our house, our field, and our arena. Our legacy, leave our mark for non-believers. Our team's a band of brothers with one goal. One vision, one mission, we won't fold. Let us take you behind the scenes where the owner's sweet view as we take over the league. We take you behind the scenes with the owner's sweet view from section 330. With the owner's sweet view from section 330. With the owner's sweet view from section 330.
Yeah. Welcome to Section 330, the podcast, the only podcast that is by the owners, but for the people. I am your host, Kristian and Adam, and this is my partner, Adam Chance. How you feeling, Adam?
Feeling good today. Excited to be here as always.
Yes, absolutely, man. Excited for the listeners. I really like seeing the numbers go up when I watch the view counter on YouTube, man. How many people are listening to this? Really awesome and exciting to see people get involved, man. You know what else has me excited, Adam?
What's that?
The theme song, man. I gotta say, every time, man, I listen to it, it just really gets me pumped up. And now I have a new goal in life. My new goal in life is to make enough money to where I can actually hire Antoine McDuffie to wake me up every morning rapping the Section 330, the podcast.
Just be your daily soundtrack throughout the day.
Yes. I mean, he just follows me to different locations throughout the day. We're in Kroger together. We'll stop by, over here, and he's just behind me rapping, man. Fantastic job by that guy.
Yeah, that's a banger, man.
For sure. But what else excites me is today's show, and that's because we've got two guests for the first time. Two guests, man. Two people who are very integral parts of the organization here with the Canton Classics and what we do. But we are riding a high right now, Adam. The last time we left the show was we were talking about getting that bid. And if anybody listened to that last show, you probably heard an ad for the Fatherhood Festival, right? We're coming off of that, Adam. Like we're I'm still riding a pretty big high off of actually getting to be there in Canton and getting to have that experience. Adam, have you been to the Pro Football Hall of Fame yet?
I have not been inside, but I have been in Canton a few times. Yeah,
okay.
That's something I got to do. I've got to get there.
Yeah, you got to cross that off the bucket list, man. There's just an energy about the facility that I loved, and anybody who's been to a few places, certain buildings just have an energy that can't be matched. And when I think of those places, first thing that comes to my mind is the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Obviously, and that may be a little biased. A, because of my job, and B, because I live here. It's like 6 minutes from me, but there's just an energy when you step into that place, right? And it doesn't matter whether it's the day of the 500 when there's 300,000 screaming fans around, or if there's nobody, if it's just you on a rainy day, man, the energy is still the same. The second place that comes to mind is Old Yankee Stadium. Okay, so I've had the pleasure of visiting both Yankee Stadiums. New Yankee Stadium is right across the street from the old one that got torn down. But obviously, Joe DiMaggio never played in New Yankee Stadium. Babe Ruth never played in New Yankee Stadium, right? Mickey Mantle, all the Yankees greats have not played in New Yankee Stadium. So Old Yankee Stadium though had this vibe though, man. You really felt that championship energy. And I say all that to say that showing up to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, it's very much got a similar energy to those places, man. Just to be around the greatness, I was hoping that my skin would somehow become absorbent and I could kind of somehow soak that in, just kind of marinate in the greatness of these halls. And so to be able to not just do that at the facility, but to get to meet people who are enshrined in the facility, what a huge honor. Thank you again to our wide receiver / public relations ambassador Kendra Hall for showing up and spending the weekend with us for the Canton Classics World debut. Getting to talk to Anthony Munoz, he's fantastic. Sean Alexander, David Tyree, and just so many others, man. So many cool people, and hearing all of their stories at this fantastic location was amazing. And it's obviously our first trip of many. We will be back. Hopefully, Adam will be in tow.
Absolutely.
And we can get to see some of that stuff, man. So before we get into the show, Adam, I mean, when you think about a place like the Hall, and I just mentioned some of the buildings to me that are iconic. You obviously travel a bit with your music. Are there any music venues that kind of give that same legendary vibe?
Oh, absolutely. And when you were talking about it, I was thinking about a few of them. The first one for me, and I'm in country music for anyone who listens and doesn't know my band, but we do the Ryman Auditorium in Nashville, and it's where the Grand Ole Opry used to be, and that's got the same energy. You feel it even if you're the only one really in the building. When we go in during the day and there's no audience in there, there's an energy there, and you can have the same size crowd there as you can have at a different venue, and it feels different. There's something in the air because of the history and because of the people who have been on the stage. It's pretty cool. And to that point, Mike All, who we're going to be talking to here today, would probably agree with me, but I think Lambeau Field is one of those places too. I've had the pleasure going there, and it's just an incredible energy with a lot of history.
You say that, and it makes me immediately think of our other guest that's on today.
Yeah, I also thought about that too, and I apologize to him in advance.
He would disagree. I'm going to say that he would disagree.
He might say there's an energy there, but he would say it's a different kind of energy.
It's a different kind, definitely, man. Definitely, being a Vikings fan. So really excited to talk to both of those guys. And actually, you know what? Dave Robinson was at the festival with us. Speaking of Packers, right, and people who actually played for Lombardi. This was so cool because a lot of those guys, unfortunately, are old, so old that most of them have passed away. So to be sitting at the same table as a Dave Robinson was just such a huge honor, man. You're talking about a guy who played for Lombardi. He can tell you what that's like, and his mental faculties are still sharp and very much intact, and he's able to tell the story exactly like you were there, man. That was just so cool. A guy who's won 5 NFL championships, 3 of those preceding the Super Bowl. Can you imagine an era when there wasn't even a Super Bowl? That wasn't a thing?
It's wild.
By the time the Super Bowl started, he had already won 3 of them. The Super Bowl starts, he wins another 2, because you can never have enough rings, right?
Right.
I'm just gonna go ahead and throw another 2 on just for the hell of it, right? super cool, man, to be just around that and to attach ourselves to that, and that's obviously some of the same kind of energy, that Hall of Fame juice that we want to bring to the Canton Classics, man. And that's why I'm pretty excited for today's guest. We've got our general manager extraordinaire coming off the draft, the hottest draft in the history, man. Mike All is hot in the streets right now, killing it with everything he's doing. So we've got him on, and then we've got the guy that he went out and got to be the head coach, the Minnesota Viking loving, the 28-year Navy veteran, the one and the only Mike Twinscrew. Super excited to get to talk to both of these guys and just hear a little bit about what made Mike the obvious choice to come here, why Mike decided to come here. Mike could have gone anywhere. I'm sure there were other suitors and people pursuing him. Why would he choose us? Other than the obvious reasons that because I'm here, right? I'm a huge draw to this team, way bigger than Adam ever is, or will be. So
sounds like you for sure.
Yeah, that it sounds a lot like me, man. I'm kidding, of course, but we will get the real answer from those guys and hear a little bit of the vision that's taken the Canton Classics forward. You excited about that, buddy?
I couldn't be more excited about these guys and everything that's been going on behind the scenes. I mean, we're a few weeks out from the season, and I think I get more excited every day that we get closer.
As you should be. So we will be back with our guests, Mike All and Mike Twinscrew, right after this message from Gutsy Organic. # Be Gutsy.
A Gutsy a day, every day. Eating one of our fresh and delicious signature blends of Gutsy Organic on a daily basis is an extremely convenient and tasty way to positively manage and impact the overall benefits of your health. Improving the wellness of your entire body begins with a healthy gut, and Gutsy Organic makes it so easy. Visit GutsyOrganic.com, that's Gutsy with a Z, to learn more about how the bacteria in your gut affects your everyday and to find out where you can get the world's best tasting prebiotic snack in your area today.
Thank you to our friends over at Gutsy Organic. They provided a ton of samples for everybody for our first official day in Canton at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Really cool to get to introduce my favorite prebiotic snack to everybody there, man. The fans loved it. The players loved it. The Hall of Famers loved it. But what's not to love about Gutsy Organic? So check for it in your area. So now that we are back, it is time. It is time to bring in our general manager, Mike All. And can I get a drum roll, please?
Does anybody do drums here?
Not you, man. And Mike Twinscrew, our head coach. So welcome to Section 330. Not Mike's first time, but it is Mike Twinscrew's first time. So welcome to the show.
Hey guys, thanks for having me back.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, fellas. Well, you two have a relationship that started before season 19, right? Before we got the bid and before that got going. Why don't you guys tell everybody a little bit about where it started and where it's gone prior to coming here to the Canton Classics?
So yeah, both of us were minor league players in the first minor league season. And both of us were pretty active. And so we met and got to know each other. And Mike was really cool because Mike was one of the guys that was the original members of the Sim Scouts Inc. and the guys that worked hard to put together mock drafts for everybody. So I was fortunate enough to be on those mock drafts and get to enjoy seeing my name in certain places and rise up the ranks as I was very active and got my name out there. And we became friends and did a lot of talking and learned a lot about each other. And we also then ended up for the second season of the minor leagues on the same coaching staff. They brought in a new team, Salt Lake City, the Salt Lake City Rustlers. And our mutual friend, Ross Napoli, was named head coach of that team. And he brought Mike on to be the offensive coordinator and myself on to be one of the team scouts, and got to help usher along the next generation of minor league players. And we built a nice working relationship that way. And I got to watch Mike not only be a part of the coaching staff for his team in the first minor league season and be successful that way, winning a championship, but also grow and flourish there as well as on his pro team, the Louisiana Revolution, and watch him bring a second minor league championship home to Salt Lake City in the third season of the minors. And so when it came time to find a coach for this team, there was no second choice. It was only Mike Twinscrew for me.
Love that, man. And you talk about that SFLM season 3 championship there. That's a pretty big deal. You know, what was that like for you, Mike? I mean, you know, you're getting your feet wet in the league. You're part of that very first season of the minor leagues and growing that. And to be able to see your development, to see your progression, you know, just as this guy running teams and you know, gaining that trust, right? To be able to run that team. What was that like for you going from where you started in season 1 to winning a championship in season 3?
Yeah. So thanks, Mike, for all the kind words. It's a great story. Mike and I have, you know, we became good friends and had some great conversations. But so season 1 in Madison, they brought Jess Otis Boudreau on and I on to do some scouting in Madison. So we did that scouting and learned how to do all that stuff. Was drafted by Louisiana in season 15 and was brought on to help out with the coaching. Some things happened and I kind of jumped into it quite a bit, but I learned a lot between, you know, that first half of season 15 season 16 and 17 in Louisiana. I learned a ton from Gerald Smith, the owner there, about coaching and things like that. So he taught me a ton. So much appreciation to him. Going back into the minor leagues, yeah, we got on to season 2 of Salt Lake, season 3 of Salt Lake, and won that championship there. And I just learned all that from Gerald in Louisiana. So a lot goes out to that man, and of course the great relationships I made over there in Louisiana. We've already talked about Ross and stuff like that. And so to bring that and to have Mike ask me right off the bat to be the head coach here in Canton and the offensive coordinator, it's very humbling and much appreciated.
Yeah, man. We're feeling super lucky to have you. Obviously, I've been getting to know a lot about your work ethic just throughout the time that you've been here, and you're absolutely phenomenal. So great pick by Mike All. You're definitely the guy. And because I didn't want to leave you out, in episode 2, I asked Mike All what were some of the differences between being an NFL GM and being a GM here in the SFL. I guess I'll ask you the same thing, man. What are the main differences do you see being an NFL head coach versus an SFL head coach, or do you feel it's pretty similar?
I think that, obviously you got to get to know your abilities on the field with your players here in the SFL and their builds and progressions and things like that. I would like to think that it's somewhat the same, minus the game itself, because you never know what the AI is going to do. You never know what R62 is going to call, and so probably a lot of similarities, but then those differences at the same time.
For those listening who don't know, R62 is notorious for being a saboteur referee when it comes to calling things. Sure, as you watch more and more of the games, we'll get to see a little bit of that, and hopefully he doesn't bother us too much, man. I know Adam's been sneaking him some funnel cakes on the side and bribing him off a little bit.
We do what we can.
We do what we can, man. A lot of people don't know that.
We do what we can.
R62 loves himself a funnel cake. A lot of guys don't know that, so we're trying to use that to our advantage, man. But and as we're going into the season, I am sure, because you are the guy that you are, there were other shooters looking at you, right? Which means that you had options. You didn't have to come here to Canton. Tell the people a little bit about why you decided to come here versus some of those other suitors, aside from the obvious connection that you had with Mike All.
Yeah, so there were a couple of teams that reached out. I hadn't made my jumping into free agency very verbal yet, because I was just kind of staying on my season 18 team until progressions were over, just so that there was no mix up in that. But there were a couple of teams that reached out. I was talking with another team pretty deeply before Mike had reached out, and coming on and talking with you guys and the things that Mike had originally told me about the team, and you guys definitely wanted to at least listen. So then when I heard it, and I was definitely on board with it, obviously wanted to see some more and things like that, keep options open. I always keep option 2, 3, 4, 5 open with everything that I do. But the way that you guys had all brought me into the fold to go in with some of the decisions that were being made, some of the players that we wanted to talk to, and things like that, how you guys had brought me in, really started seeing the family dynamic that we want to do here in Canton. And I think that you guys have done a fantastic job doing and bringing together this family dynamic that we have already. I think that's what really brought me in and said, yes, this is absolutely the spot that I want to be in.
Thank you, man. We definitely appreciate that, and thank you for making that decision. Love what we're building. Love what we're doing. Obviously, the listeners don't have access to the locker room, but as we bring more and more players on, I would love for them to hear about some of the things that go on in the locker room and make it that family dynamic for you guys. I do have a question for Mike All. When you watch a show maybe like NFL Hard Knocks or something like that, or some of the team produced shows that they've been putting out, and you look at the relationship between a GM and a head coach, there's obviously got to be some things there, right? Some very tangible things. You want to agree on some things that are important. You want to be able to have discussions around things and philosophies and things like that. With you, Mike, looking at Twinscrew, man, what are some of those chemistry pieces? What do you think makes you guys just get along as well as you do?
Well, it makes it easy when you have the same name. Yeah, it all starts with that love of football, right? And even though we may root for teams that are generational rivals, we can see past that because not only do we love football, we have a lot of similar interests, and he gets my humor, I get his humor. So our personalities really mesh well. And so you use that as a base and then discuss, well, what are the personalities? What are the people that we think would fit in really well with what's being built? So having his input on where he'd like to see the team go build wise and discussing the people that would fit well into those positions, it was definitely much more fun and engaging than if I was just doing it myself. Having him around, having that level of faith and trust, and that cohort to bounce names and ideas off of really made building this team a lot of fun.
And that's exactly what we're all about, man. And I feel good about you two being who's leading us into battle. And so when we talk about battle, I do want to discuss for a second. We all know that the schedule was released, right? So the Canton Classics now do have our first official schedule, right? Adam, does anybody on that schedule stand out to you? How do you feel about the schedule overall?
I feel good about the schedule overall. It was a little nerve-wracking when we were about to get it because it's our first season, and I didn't know what kind of challenges we might face in our first game even. And I even talked to some of the people in the locker room about this, and it was kind of unanimous and it was how I felt too, that game number 1 is the most important on our schedule right now because we're playing another expansion team, and it's our first game out of the gate, and we want to come out firing on all cylinders and kind of proving all the naysayers wrong. So I'd say number 1 is week 1, Minnesota. And I've always subscribed to that coach's mentality where it's like one game at a time. Don't get your sights set too far in the future. You got to think about right now and what's next. And I think it's got to be Minnesota week 1.
For sure, man. Mike All and Mike Twinscrew, any things on the schedule that jump out to you?
Yeah, I agree with Adam that first game is the first real measuring stick. Like we're going up against one of the other expansion teams, and we do get to play all 3 expansion teams besides ourselves. And so it'll be a nice measuring stick to see, who did better, who built that team right away and came out of the gate swinging. And it starts right there with that first game. I enjoy the fact that we have a team like London in our division so that we can build a very fierce Green Bay, Chicago type rivalry with them, right? And the other big measuring stick will be Vancouver. They were a game away from the championship last season, and they've perennially been a very successful team. Now, granted, they're running a different quarterback this year, not the same caliber as what they had in the past, but that team will be a real measuring stick right there as well.
Absolutely. And Mike T?
So yeah, I'll touch on what Adam said. It's definitely a one game at a time thing. The only game I'm thinking of right now is Minnesota. Like Mike said, it is a good measuring stick because I think Minnesota put together a pretty good squad. Not as good as ours, but they did put together a pretty good squad. I think the better out of the other 3 expansion teams. So it'll be a very good measuring stick. Tulsa will also be a good measuring because of their season they had last season. Vancouver, obviously. But other than that, I really think that we have a favorable schedule and that we can match up against these teams on our schedule very well. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to the whole season. But yeah, game 1, Minnesota, our home opener. Absolutely the only game I'm looking at right now.
And I think I'm really looking forward to these rivalries too. You touched on that a little bit, Michael, but I want to really have some fun with these rivalries. There's already been some back and forths on Twitter, but we're going to be having some fun, not just on the field, but off the field, and we're going to be throwing some memes at them. It's going to be a good time. We're going to build some pretty strong rivalries here.
Yeah, very much looking forward to that. And anybody who hasn't had the opportunity to take a look at the schedule, we can talk about that a little bit right now before the break. But you got Monday, July the 11th. It all kicks off. And this game is going to be broadcast live at the SFL convention in Las Vegas at the HyperX Arena. We're going to have some team personnel there, so that's very, very exciting. But that is going to be against the Minnesota Legend at home. Then the very next week, on Sunday, July the 17th, we travel to Indianapolis. Looking forward to that. I'm going to try to see if I can set something up with both of those owners. They both do live here in Indy, as do I. So would love to be able to cheer the Classics on in their face, live and in person. So then Saturday, July the 23rd, we've got London. The London Knights come to Canton to play us. Then we go to Tulsa to face the Desperados on 7:30. Then there's a bye week, so we get a little bit of a break. Then we've got a little bit of time off, man. A little bit of a summer vacation for the Classics. We won't be taking any time off, though. I'm sure of it. We'll be hard at work, looking forward to the next third of the season. So, like these guys said, it's a good schedule. We do get to play all three other expansion teams, and really see what's what. But the time is approaching. The time is now. The time is we're here. We're here now, man. And it went by so quickly. It feels like since we got the bid, but we're here now. And when I say we're here now, we've actually got some preseason action coming up.
Yeah, we do have our very first preseason game coming up this week against Louisiana Revolution. And, we've made friends with that ownership group over there. They're great dudes. And like the Mike said earlier, Ross over there is a big reason that the four of us are together here, actually. So it was kind of a no-brainer that we approached those guys for a preseason game. And that's coming up Friday. And you can catch that on our friend Tyler Fox channel, Netma. And just like everything else that we do here in Canton, we're going to try and go above and beyond and not just give you the basic broadcast. So Tyler's going to be commentating. We're going to have players from both teams. They're being interviewed. And we're just trying to make it feel like a real preseason game here and get everybody involved, because that's really what the SFL is all about. And that's what we're all about. If you guys want to talk about what to expect from maybe the coaching side of things and what to expect from the players, let's just chat about what people can expect in the this week's preseason game.
Yeah, it'll be a great game against Louisiana. I spent 3 seasons in Louisiana, so know those guys very well. Some great people over on that squad. Of course, with preseason games, we just use generic playbooks. So meaning that all the plays are just thrown in, and the AI gets to play whatever it wants. And so we'll see what happens. Of course, we've kind of talked in the chat and things like that about beating our old teams. Of course, I want to beat them. So yeah, looking forward to it. It'll be a good time. Looking forward to the commentary by Tyler. He always does a great job. If you haven't, check him out on some of the SFL games. And then the interviews, I know they'll be great. He always has great questions for everybody. So looking forward to it.
Yeah. And personnel-wise, Louisiana has a great team. It's going to be a little bit of a different build this season from last season, where last season they were the first team to actually really take a shot at running 2 big-time star running backs, which had never been done before. This season, due to salary cap issues, they are going to be more of a normal build where it's 1 running back, 1 fullback, wide receivers, tight end. So it'll be a more even stand for us. They've got a really good quarterback in Tommy Utah, who actually played for us in Salt Lake City and was the quarterback that won the championship while we were on the staff there. And they've got some amazing players on offense and defense, guys like Slyn Shady at linebacker, who every season he's basically in the All-Star game. Sure thing, first ballot Hall of Famer for sure. But then you look at our team and the people we put together: Cam Curtis at quarterback, Kendra Hall at receiver, Robert Johnson at running back, Gary Burney and Gary Clem right at that first and second level on the defense, guys like Evan Lacey and Bob Funk in the backfield. Well, it's going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight. And even though it's generic playbooks, it's going to be really exciting to watch.
Absolutely, and it is a home game for us, and we're breaking in that new stadium, man. So, and some of those people that Mike all just mentioned will be there for live interviews. So, please do check the game out. Please do hear, what the team has to say, because Canton, they are your team. They are your team. We very much are just so proud to be able to represent the actual city, and now that I've made that first pilgrimage, that first visit to the city, to really get a feel for what everybody's like and just the vibe of the town, man. I couldn't be prouder to be a part of taking Canton football into the future. And it all starts this Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern on NETMA. So we hope to see you there. The next episode, man, we got to get into some stuff, right? The draft was there. I really want to hear Mike's thoughts too on just why he decided not to draft any players. What he thought about the cap. Some of those things that can drive a GM insane. I would love to hear it from him. So please check us out next time for that and much, much more, as always. Thank you for tuning in to Section 330, the only podcast that is by the owners for the people. Adam, hit that button, man, and let Mr. McDuffie, Antoine McDuffie, take us out with our awesome theme song.
Find out more about the team at CantonClassics.com, or find us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Canton Classics. Find out more about the SFL at simulationfl.net.
With a owner suite view from Section 330. With a owner suite view from Section 330, yeah.